Okay, so what do you guys do to take care of yourself spiritually besides smudging?
Self-care.
How's with self-care?
Like going to ceremonies, participating in them.
What if we can't go to ceremony?
Reach out.
Like if we're stuck in the city, like I'm in Edmonton and I'm alone over there most of the time, right? And I cry a lot because I'm lonely for my mom, my baby, and I'm lonely for all my friends. And I'm really happy to be here back at SIIT. I used to go to school here, well, in PA. I took management, and then I quit, and then I took nursing at First Nations, and then I quit. Then I took corrections. Just kidding, I couldn't stop because learning is a privilege.
Shadow work?
Shadow work. So what's shadow work to you? What's
Working on issues that you have.
shadow work is really hard because you got to look at the parts of yourself you don't like, right? So for myself, I used to work in this group home, and I used to work, I thought I'd work in corrections because everybody said I was abrasive. Okay, so I took that the wrong way. I thought, okay, I'm abrasive, I'm mean, I shouldn't, I'll try to work on that and be gentle. But trying to get out of myself and trying to be gentle wasn't who I was, right? I wasn't embracing who I was. Abrasiveness, it takes abrasiveness to polish a rock. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do something with that abrasiveness. I'm going to transmute that energy. Instead of seeing it as an insult, I'm going to make something of myself with it. So when I talk with people one-on-one, because I do a lot of one-on-one healing sessions, right? And it isn't me talking. So when I do my my ribbons, I'm jumping all over the place. Sorry, you guys have a lot of deadly energy here. Yeah, you guys are. Some of you guys are thinking about your next project, your next girlfriend, So, I can read people, but respect our teachings, right? We're not allowed to go in there. You see a lot of psychics, they're like, oh, the psychic told me something and I didn't think she'd know that. We're not supposed to do that. One of our teachings is respect. I can't go into your mind and be like, oh yeah, you dated this guy in 20, I can't do that because that's disrespecting you. It's like digging in your drawers in your house, right? So they teach us to, your guides, I work with your guides. So all your spirit guides, some of your ancestors, maybe they'll come to me. It's kind of like Oda Mae Brown on that show. What's that show called, Ghost? That's how it was, yeah. When I first woke up, I was like, oh, and I was scared and I'm smudging and I'm telling him to go away. And then I saw my Gookum standing there. And I was like, what? You're talking Korean? I was like, I actually see this. And so when I started seeing things, I thought I was going crazy. So I actually went to the psych ward and I got myself checked, but I'm normal, right? So taking care of yourself spiritually. If you can believe in chief and council, you can believe in all these things, right? Right? So I really believe that when I put my ribbons up, I put my ribbon up first thing, So I asked the grandmothers and grandfathers, we'd see in that. I don't know anything. Then I go to the south, grandmothers, grandfathers from the south. And I use the colors that represent, according to what I was taught, what I know. I don't call myself a knowledge keeper. I see a lot of people who say, I'm a knowledge keeper. To me, that sounds like gatekeeper. I'm a knowledge sharer. So if I'm sitting talking with you, and then your guides come in and talk with me, then I'm saying stuff that you know, that you're teaching me. So that's why when my little company, I built a little company for myself. I call myself, my little straight out of Big River sticker, stuck to it. Matausu. Matausu, does anyone know what that means? Matausu means? He or she is gifted. It doesn't mean me, oh, I'm gifted. It means you're gifted. So what I do, my job, is to be that person that helps you lead you back to where you were before you were conditioned to believe what you believe. That's also taking care of yourself spiritually, right? Because I was taught, again, speak Cree, make the hides, put your head down, walk 10 steps behind your husband. And I thought, what if I'm two-spirit, Because I am two-spirit. I do have a boyfriend, but I'm still, the two-spirit doesn't mean I only date men or women. Two-spirit also means I do cultural practices that are limited to women according to some teachings, but with the assistance of guide, with elders, I can do some of that, like hauling rocks, like doing some of the Euskapios work. Because I do work with the Euskapios. And I was just talking to Stuart about that. The Euskapios. I remember when I started doing this work in Alberta, I was getting men coming after me. You're not supposed to teach that, you're not supposed to do that. And I just felt like really small, like, why are you men coming at me? And this one elder came and sat with me. And he says, yeah, I see you work with Nuktaguategan, he says, that purple. He goes, I see that, he says, but there's two parts to that lodge. One half is for the women, the other half is for the men. So you have to work with that Euskapio. So I talked to Creator, we always talk to Creator. And I don't go on my knees, put my head down, talking to Creator. I just talk to her, hey Creator, because I'm an extension, and I do it the way I feel comfortable. Creator, I would really like to do stuff in a good way. I'd like to pray in a good way. Can you help me out? because people are taught, we're taught to do things a certain way, and it gets you out of your comfort zone. You don't want to pray this way, right? So I prayed to Creator. I asked him, okay, I want to work with men and women in a good, healthy way. And so he showed me, put up an orange cloth or an orange ribbon to represent that you're working with Euskapios, because Euskapios is the one in the lodge who keeps people in line, right? So make sure you're doing this okay, right? And he gets the fire going for you. And then the men stopped getting after me. So it was my intention. And so that's what I want to talk about too. What I learned from taking care of myself spiritually is because I had to go through a lot of crap to be able to take care of myself spiritually. And one of the things that I learned was not to go to an outside source all the time and get them to tell me what to do, because sometimes what they do is different than how I practice, right? So someone tells me, okay, you're not supposed to use black cloth for the West, you're supposed to use blue and all that, and then they get mad at you. And that just makes you feel small. So I use my own intention, and I put my own spice into my teachings. Well, I call it spice. It's like when you're making a recipe, you put in what you know. It's called your intention, right? So what do you want to bring into your world that day? What do you want to, what contribution do you want to be? So as I was traveling, because I was homeless for so many years, I was actually homeless here in Saskatoon. I was even homeless in Yorkton. I was homeless in Prince Albert, Vancouver. I was on East Hastings for a while. And I know that being out there in these places where I was most vulnerable, this is where I learned to take care of myself spiritually. And it wasn't just, I always thought I was just going to reaching out to elders, but I noticed that some of the elders, they didn't treat me very well. And this is where some of my triggering stories are. I was on the streets in Prince Albert, and I had nowhere to go. I was out of alcohol. I was hungover. I was hungry. I was depressed. So I called my uncle from a neighboring reserve to come and grab me. And he did. He picked me up, and he bought me alcohol. He took me back to the reserve, and I drank, and they hurt me, and then they jumped in a sweat lodge afterwards. Who was going to believe a drunk, right? I tried to reach out to one of my family members. They were having an election on the reserve. We can't talk about that right now. You'll ruin my campaign. Can you imagine how I felt in that place? Helpless. I was still hungover, drunk, and I was hurting because these men had actually hurt me. So instead of being in that place where I'm going to be bitter for the rest of my life, I decided to become that safe space, right? I wanted to become that person that I would run to. And this is what I suggest. That's how you take care of yourself spiritually, with what you know, right? So you can just put it down if you want.
I need to go to the washroom.
Okay, hold on.
Sorry, Laura.
That's okay. Does anyone have any questions for me so far about anything? Because I can make suggestions all day, but I know that you guys are the ones that have the suggestions on how to take care of yourself spiritually. I'm here to learn from you guys, right? So.
I was thinking Matauso was going onto the water and boating, like just go with the flow.
That's probably a different dialogue.
Well, that's what I was interpreted.
Just like Sagegan and Sagegan, one means nail, one means lake, right? So it's like that. So I actually got my name, we're supposed to do it with a dream and go off for tobacco, and I actually did that. I went to a couple elders in Pihiwin and Saddle Lake, and they came up with that name. And so I really have to search, and I asked, people like Solomon Rath and people like Eric Wovengray, I asked them the meanings, right? And that's how it came up with that word. I'm still okay with changing it, but that's where, the guides told me to put it. And it's really hard to carry that name around because it puts a lot of pressure on me, eh? And then, because how does a spiritual leader look? We're supposed to have the braids and the ribbon skirts, and then here's me. Like, what do I know, right? So, anyone have any questions for me? Usually people they have a lot to say, but you guys are kind of quiet.
Do you see when you're talking about colors, do you see the aurora?
The auras of people, I can only if I turn it on. So I can't just walk around and just be a psychic all the time, right? And read people, because part of protecting yourself too is, like I wear this. I had an elder named Trudy make this for me in Edmonton because she said I was really putting my energy out there. I was taking a lot of people home with me, their problems, trying to help them, right? And I ended up getting, hurt in the end because it's like me giving a loonie to everybody, trying to help everybody. And if I have a million loonies, I end up with nothing, and all these people just have a little piece of me. So when I see these things, for myself, I put my own meaning into the colors, right? It isn't just what you read on the internet, because it's so watered down, a lot of our teachings. And when I see a lot of our teachings actually come from, maybe if your tribe and your family, or maybe your tribe and your family has different teachings, and you guys talk, it's merging, right? Because I heard a story one time about our Sundance, our Bagui Samanagan. I guess that it wasn't the Cree way. we went to, I believe it was the Dakota, I can't remember. It was I never used to listen when people would tell me these stories, but I guess they filled up a whole lodge, the Cree, they filled up a whole lodge with pelts of all sorts of animals, and that's how they earned that lodge to bring it to our country, or to our territory, I should say country back then. So, and I know I'm bouncing all over my teachings here too, but what I also know too, and I used to work at Petro-Canada in Prince Albert, and I'd see people come in, they'd be like, oh, I'm going to go to lodge, what's your cheapest tobacco? And I'd be like, okay, so I give them the cheapest tobacco, and then it came to me that whatever you give, whatever you offer, if that's all you have is your last smoke, and then it's, whatever you offer is what you're going to get in return. And so this is why I talk about intention. If you really want to see, if you really want to believe and you really want to talk to, your ancestors or the guides or creators, it's, sometimes our intention comes from the places when we have nothing left to offer, right? So when I was living on the streets in Vancouver, can you imagine, I had to sleep on a desk. It wasn't as comfy as that. And I put everything in my shirt here so I wouldn't get rolled. But we could only sleep in there for a bit because I had nowhere to go. And it was in those moments where when I couldn't sleep, I had to go ask certain people, and the coolest elders I found were on the streets. Nobody listens to them. These ones are fighting the hardest battles, getting up every day, the strength and the hustle they have to get, what they're addicted to, right? And that motivated me to get out of there and get the strength and the hustle to get myself out of the street. So what I did is I took my last cigarette. I used to smoke cigarettes that time. And I took my last smoke, and I'm just crying. I want to go home, I'm hungover. I was homeless for how long? So I put that tobacco down, and I prayed, and I got on my knees, and I prayed, and I asked Creator, send me an angel, send me someone, to help me go home. I didn't know what I was asking for. I just wanted to go home. I'm stuck in Vancouver. And so I had my, my last $5, $10, and I went into this restaurant, and then I ordered my lunch. I'm sitting there. All of a sudden I heard someone talking Cree behind me in Vancouver, of all places. I turned around. I was like, oh my God, Tante Utsigia, where are you from? And she's like, same place, Big River. And then she's like, are you Carmen? And I'm like, yeah. And she got up, just hugged me, and I just got scared. Oh my God. She goes, your family's looking for you. She says, I just worked down the road here at a place called Sweetgrass. She says, you should stop by. And the whole time I was homeless in Vancouver, I never saw that place once. It was so cool. I walked in there, I could smell the medicine, the smudge. It was home. She bought me a bus ticket, and I went home. So. It was my intention. See, I had nothing that time, and so my intention, my focus was to go home. And this is what I teach people, taking care of yourself spiritually. Where you come from, where you are, Creator loves you as you are. You're an extension of Creator. Creator's not separate from you. People, that's what we get taught, Creator's over here, we're over here. Hey, Creator, you're going to help us. Creator's like, well, I made you in my image. You're an extension of me. Act like it, right? And so that's what I had to do. With a lot of teachings I had to make it my own, right? So I do read tarot cards, I do use crystals, rocks, I do, but in tarot cards, they don't have meanings for sweat lodge. They don't have meanings for, the chicken dance, the ghost dance. And so what I do with my cards, and maybe I can find it right now, it's kind of, people are scared of them. This is actually my pipe card, right? So our peace pipe, I guess you call it. And when I teach people this, when I come back to Whitefish, people are so skeptical of what I do. But then before I go and do anything, I always ask Creator and my guides, to ground me. I ask all of them to come and help me. And I also ask all the people who passed away that I used to party with, my family members who passed away. Because there's 3 levels of the guides who help us from the other side. One is Kisemantu, Creator. The second is our guides, right? Sometimes we don't know who we are because people get hung up. Well, who's my spirit helper? Who's my, they ask me. I don't know. This is up to you, what you create. And then we have our ancestors, like my brother, he passed away in 2014. He's my ancestor now. He likes to rub it in my face. So. One of my spirit guides is actually R2D2. So, and there's a cool story about that. Well, it's actually not that cool, but when I was 2, 3, 4 years old, I remember that's when Star Wars came out. I was born in '77, so that's when it came out. So I used to be really immersed in Star Wars and Naboo and Tatooine and all. It was just amazing, right? And I used to think this guy was just the hero, R2D2. I had always felt safe with him, right? I thought I'd be on a starship with him, he'd be guiding me, and I'd actually dream of him. And then he was my safe zone. And I remember being hurt as a little girl, but I don't remember it actually happening. So I'm not going to go into detail with what happened, but it's blocked. And I went to therapists, I went to mental health specialists, I went to medicine men to figure out what happened to me. And I finally got my answer. I wasn't meant to remember because my body would have went in shock as a little girl. But I do remember traveling with R2-D2. And so when I prayed, it was really cool. All of a sudden I saw this big R2-D2 show up. And I was like, what? And so I asked, an elder about that. And the elder said, that was your safe zone, your little girl. If you want to, believe that he's actually not actually your spirit guide, but he shows up like that because that's your safety. So this is actually, I say that this is one of my spirit guides. People laugh at me, but I mean, this is my safety. This is, what I own. This is mine, right? And I shared with people. It's hard for me to share with people because it's, it's silly, but it's mine. I made it my own. So, does anyone have any questions or comments? You guys are free to jump in at any time because this is only my second speech ever, actually. So.
Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that.
We had a reading before,
Yeah.
but I don't remember. That's another thing too. When I do my readings, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do tarot card readings. I do energy healing, access bars, energetic facelift.
Do you have like a number or a card I could have?
Yeah, I have cards.
Awesome.
I have cards. I have stickers.
Well, I'll have both if you'd like.
When you were sharing your
They're free, I'll take them.
when you were sharing your story about Vancouver and how you wanted to go home.
No.
Wait. When you were sharing your Vancouver story and how you wanted to go home, someone said on the live, "I just want my sister home."
She wants her sister.
Yeah.
Tell that person to inbox me later. That's all.
Okay.
Right. So, one thing that I do too when I do my readings with people is because not a lot of people have the finances to get a reading. I know I have my price list, but we always do trades. I had a lady come in and she was distraught. She had nothing. She's the spiritual leader, and it was really strange to be reading because I thought that she was just an amazing person who helped everybody. She was. She didn't have anything to offer, but she brought me this beautiful ribbon skirt and a bunch of little origami roses, and I thought that was the most beautiful gift I ever had in my life. A little kid, brought me, they bring me rocks, it's so cute, they just find them outside. I bring this for you, for, some teaching, some readings. And for me, when I go home at night, it's like, it's really humbling, for many years I saw myself as that homeless, jobless alcoholic, because that's what I was labeled for so many years, here in Saskatoon, here in PA, everywhere. To be in this place where I'm actually sharing teachings every day, it's an emotional roller coaster for me. And this is why I want to start sharing my story, because people just see me as I am. They just think, oh, she's over here, she has an amazing life. No way, I still speed. I just paid off $1,600 in speeding tickets. So, yeah, if you guys want to come for readings, I can pay one of my tickets. Just trying to publicity.
You mentioned that you went to counselors and things for the memory loss.
Yeah.
That's sort of what I'm talking about with my counselor right now for losing the memory from when I was younger.
Yeah.
So how did that, did you want to figure out what happened? And how did you decide not to want to remember things like
Cute.
I'm still right in the middle of deciding if I want to try or just leaving it as it is kind of thing.
Well, I had clues, and this might be triggering for some, but I believe you're all adults and you can understand a bit. But I knew about taking off certain clothes at a young age. That's how I knew, right? So I knew a 3-year-old's not supposed to know that. And that's how I figured it out. Okay, how do because I didn't know that other kids my age didn't go through that. So that's it. And then we're just supposed to leave it there, because if we already know and our body already knows and we're already healing from it, then why go back to that place, right? So we can actually take care of ourselves, because I can see all of you are in a really good place to take care of yourself. I'm looking at all your energies. Like, you guys are all here in school getting yourself, and I see a whole bunch of you, are having financial distress, stress with babysitters, stress with exes. Some of you guys have stress with parents, and I can just feel that stuff here. And I just want you guys to know that I'm proud of each and every single one of you for being here. Like, I'm getting emotional for you
Yeah.
guys.
Same.
Like, holy crap, And so you guys got to celebrate yourselves, and that's how you can take care of yourself spiritually. Sometimes we don't want to smudge. Sometimes we want to be mad and angry, right? So, but not to hurt anybody. So I have stories about that too. So.
We have a question. How or when did you realize you had the ability to read spirits and have a medium skills that you do?
Ever since I was 3, 4, 5 years old, right? So I used to know how to read since I was 3. I didn't know how I did. I just had that gift to read, and I'd read, comic books, I'd read magazines, and I came upon, I think it was a Time magazine, and I was reading something about spirituality and how it was taboo. And so I would ask teachers about that, what these words meant, right? And so I knew that I could read people, but I didn't know that it was a gift until later on, maybe in my teenage years, right? But I tried to hide it, because I wanted to be normal and fit in. So I put myself in this different frequency so I could fit in with people. Because if I did talk about it, like I had a boyfriend here in Saskatoon who he went on Facebook and he's telling everybody, Carmen talks to dead people. And it was so, it was almost humiliating, but it was true. So I couldn't, It's like, okay, yeah, I actually do talk to dead people. You want to check it out? And of course, me being the a-hole I was at the time, I went and proved it to him. Well, this person has a message for you, and he just shut up right quick. But I realized I was coming from ego. And then that's another thing I have to let go of when I'm doing this work. I have to let go of my ego. I can't go around, again, and put myself on a higher frequency, for you guys to come up and reach me. I meet you where you are. And frequencies aren't just up and down. We don't have levels, because we're all frequencies. This is what I got taught by one of my counselors. Her name is Violet Natal. I don't know if you guys know her. Amazing woman. She brought me back from the streets. Her, Elsie Sanderson, Saul Sanderson, Gordon Rapp, Stuart Amiot, Stuart over here. I had so many amazing elders here in Saskatchewan that brought me back, right? And they met me where I was. They didn't come over here and tell you got to come up over here. And they sit there with me. And then so when I talk about frequencies, we're all vibing on different frequencies. And frequencies aren't just up and down. They are over there. Maybe you're over here and I'm over here. So we all come to meet each other. And sometimes when people leave our lives, they just go vibe on a different frequency. And I'm in the process of learning how not to be offended by that when people leave my life, right? Because sometimes it's, when we take offense to it, that's the only way we'll listen. I know that's how I am. I'll hold on to someone, I'll try help them, I'll be their friend until they finally yell at me, and then I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay. And I'll try not to be offended, and I'm working on that right now because I asked Creator to help me work on humility. Be careful how you ask for things, because you gotta ask for it to come to you in a gentle way. So that's what I'm working on. Teach me humility in a gentle way. So people are leaving my life and coming in a good way now. So, okay. Any questions, or do you guys want to eat yet? Yeah, we're looking at you guys. So there's lots of ways to take care of yourself spiritually, and I was asking you guys, what else do you guys do to take care of yourselves in a spiritual way? Besides just smudging and ceremony.
Journaling?
Nature, go out there and just even talk to a tree or hug a tree.
Grounding yourself,
yeah. Grounding. Yeah, that's a great way.
Have a hot bath.
Have a hot, yes, absolutely. Magnesium salts, right? They help clear you too.
We were just doing the TV teachings, and I seen the one like cleanliness, like they're not talking about hygiene. They're talking about your mind.
Keeping your mind clean, yeah, that's another cool point here about taking care of yourself spiritually. You can also take care of yourself mentally too. I don't like to read books, but I put them in my house sometimes just so I can read the titles. And sometimes seeing the titles brings that into my reality, right? So I'll have like the Book of Awesome, the even more Book of Awesome. Bring the food and let's do
Let's eat that.
Yeah, that's how you take yourself spiritually.
Someone said on TikTok, eating clean. They're asking about this.
Oh, about my card?
Yeah.
And my information.
There's her card. Her name is Carmen Joseph.
What's up?
Her email is on there. Screenshot if you got it.
Absolutely. I have a question. Oh, really? What's
Just making your own little advertisements.
If I had more of these, I'd share them. But yeah, let's take a lunch break.
Do you want to come from
You're from Big Creek? Oh, right on. Nice to meet you.
Hey, everybody, line up here.
No.
What if you guys are relatives?
Here, I'll just cut the live off for now.
$5 too. Or where are we getting the $5? How do you say that?
Matausu. Yeah. That's cute. Yeah. So, I am. So, we're gonna have lunch right now. We're gonna have lunch, we're gonna have some pizza. What? I didn't hear you. Oh, I have a fan. He's gonna put me on Snap. How do you keep a room full of Indians quiet? You give them food. Wait, when they start eating. It's Carmen Joseph. It's Matausu. I'm gonna end the live right now, and then we'll come back on when I continue the speech. My deadly speech.